Time to get in with Larry Senneback, our chief technologist. At First Rule, he likes to blow our mind every Friday. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, guys. I'll try to blow your minds again this morning.
What are we going on? What are going on today?
There's some exciting TV coming up for us geeks here this fall. It hasn't happened since the late '90s. We're going to have a Star Trek TV series, Star Trek Discovery, coming out in September
On CBS.
On CBS.
Okay.
We're going to have a new Stargate series, and that's going to be only online right now. They're kind of testing the waters, which is, if you haven't seen Stargate SG-1, one of the best sci-fis ever. Yeah. And then a new Star Wars movie, obviously, coming out in Star Wars Episode 8 on the 15th. So I thought, these quintessential sci-fis have been instrumental in inspiring generations, now like two generations of
geeks.
Scientists to create devices and things that have affected our everyday life.
Yes.
So instead of rehashing some of the more obvious things like tablets, flip phones, things like that, I thought, let's look at some of the out there technology that's kind of right on the cusp that actually exists in real life that was inspired by these sci-fi.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the first one I want to talk about is cloaking devices. You saw them in Star Trek with Romulan cloaking ships, and even in Stargate and some of their cloaks.
What would they do? They would cloak it. They would put a shield around it, right? Is that what it was?
Technically, they couldn't have their shields up when they were cloaked. That was one of their disadvantages, the Romulans.
McGraw,
the cloaking was you would make the spaceship
completely invisible,
okay.
Sensors and to actual vision.
I forgot that you couldn't cloak and put your shields.
I tell you, it's important.
It's
a strategic disadvantage for the Romulans. So
jokers.
In 2011, scientists in Dallas actually were able to bend light around carbon nanotubes that were suspended in water. And it causes them to completely disappear and vanish, and then they could reappear. They can turn this effect on and off. And actually, it's based on some of the physics that are basically, if you look at a hot road with a mirage, that effect, it actually uses a similar sort of effect to hide the nanotubes and then bring them back. So while we're years away from a full cloaking device that could fit on a ship, let's say, it is the same technology and the same effect, and it's really neat. If you haven't seen it, go take a look at the video. Very interesting stuff.
All right, cloaking.
So the next thing is, again, used in all three of these sci-fi series, more or less, though Star Wars calls it something different, the warp drive, which, again, is faster than light travel. Einstein's equation equals mc squared states, basically, in that equation that nothing with mass can travel faster than the speed of light. And yet we're in a universe that is millions of light years across, and otherwise the speed of light is too slow.
Right.
So all these sci-fis need a faster way to do it. Well, interestingly enough, NASA has a prototype theoretical idea called the Alcubierre drive. And essentially what they do is they're able to bend space around. So imagine this, if you held a sheet out fully taut between two people, and you had a marble right on the center.
Right.
Instead of making the marble move really fast by throwing the marble, they're literally bending the sheet. They're pulling the sheet down, and it's causing the marble to fall towards the center. And that's essentially what they're doing. This drive bends space-time such that you don't have to travel faster than the speed of light. You're essentially falling through space-time or across space-time, such that you are traveling relatively faster than the speed of light, even though you're not actually moving faster.
All right, I have a question.
Sure.
Let's say you are moving faster than the speed of light, and you turn your headlights on.
That actually is that's a common physics problem, actually. And the reason being is because it all comes down to the observer. And this is when you get into things called that probably shouldn't discuss here, like time dilation, where physics gets really crazy. Where if I travel at the speed of light for 2 years, it might be 50, 60 years to everyone else, but only 2 years to me.
Right.
And it's because the speed of light is always constant. And so in that case, if I'm in the ship and I'm traveling the speed of light and I shine the light, that light still goes at the speed of light ahead of me.
Right.
Because from my observer perspective, but not necessarily from the observer perspective outside of the ship. And again, for more explanation on that, I defer you to physics textbooks and quantum physics, because it gets really crazy really, really quick.
You're doing a pretty good job, though, explaining.
I was just trying to throw you
for the
off.
common man.
I was just trying to throw you a speed of light bulb.
There's a YouTube channel called Vsauce. And if you haven't heard of it, it's a great scientific educational channel. And if you search that exact question, if I'm going the speed of light, what happens to headlights? and Search Vsauce is a great explanation. Highly recommend it.
All right. I want to get to transparent aluminum.
So this is funny. If you guys remember, in 1985 or 84, I believe, there was Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. It was a pretty awful movie, let's be honest. They went back in time, and
I loved it.
They got a couple of humpback whales, and they needed a way to transport them back to the future. But they needed something they could store them in the water.
And the DeLorean was busy.
And the DeLorean was busy, exactly. So what they did was they went into a local shop at the time, and Scotty types on the computer really fast, and he offers them transparent aluminum, something that sounded incredibly far-fetched, a clear substance like a window that was as hard as a metal. Well, since 1985, there have been 5 patents for transparent aluminum, and there's actually a company called the Cermet Corporation that produces this aluminum oxytride and it's called Alon. That's the actual term that's used now. It's lightweight. It's 85% as hard as sapphire and can withstand temperatures up to 1,200 degrees Celsius. Now, it's very, very expensive still to manufacture, so don't expect it in all your windows all the times, but it is actually the same technology that they kind of teased about in the movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why he's our favorite. Larry Stenenbach with First Rule. He is the chief technologist and blows our mind each and every day. First Rule with Larry. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.